Hello and welcome to AWITS episode 2. In this video, I want to take you through my particular expectations and hopes for students who are taking online courses with me. But this video can also help students to better understand the expectations of professors in general and some great best practices for being in courses in college. It's a great idea to learn about what the expectations are for the course that you're taking. And the best way to do that is to start with the course's syllabus. The syllabus will outline the expectations for the course, and these are always in alignment with the expectations of the institution and the institution's mission. So always start with the syllabus. But from there, it's very important to understand your particular instructor's expectations, because within the boundaries of the syllabus, instructors tend to have either explicit or inexplicit expectations, and it's really good to get a handle on what those particular expectations are so that you can feel successful in the class that you're taking. In this video, I'm going to outline my particular expectations for students who are taking courses with me online. As I go through my expectations with you today, I want you to keep something really important in mind. Every student is different, and every student can be herself in the classroom and still meet expectations in her own way. What I'd like to do in this video is express my expectations as I understand them. But depending on what kind of student you are, you might feel like maybe you can't deliver on some of these expectations. And I want you to, at least in the way that I articulate them, and I want you to know that that is okay. One of the primary ways that you can fulfill pretty much any professor's expectation anywhere, anytime, is to be authentically you and to show up in the classroom in a way that is honest, true, and authentic and expressive of who you are. So I just wanted to make that quick disclaimer before I get into the particulars of things that I love from students. The first expectation that I have is for students to bring their own interest to the classroom and to the work that we do together and to the community that we build together as a classroom. I like students to know what interests them, what passions they have, and to find a way to synthesize those interests and those passions into the work that they do, whether that's the small-scale deliverables of short writings or the large-scale deliverables of presentations and academic papers, or even just forum discussions. I like for students to bring their interests and to find a way to contextualize and piece in their interests. Students with passion really know how to ignite their education. They tend to be more invested in their education. Now, even if you're not interested in the overarching subject of the course that you're taking, no matter what the course is, whether it's this writing course or whether it's a course maybe in the sciences or the humanities, maybe it's in politics or history, whatever the course is that you're taking, you always want to find a way to get invested and interested in it. So for example, let's say you're taking an algebra course, but you don't really care for math. There's always an aspect of mathematics that you can find a connection to through your own personal interest. Now, it might be hard, but it's definitely worth the try to make that connection, and so that you can let that passion shine. I like that. I like to see that in students, and I know a lot of other instructors do too, and it's a way that you can feel connected and successful in any course that you take. Next up is knowing what you're doing in this course. Having personal stakes, a sense about what your investment is in this course and why you're here, can have a lot to do with motivating you towards success. It also shows in the work that you do and in the engagement that you show. So having some sense about what you're doing in college, what does it matter to you? What does it mean to you? What does this course mean to you? Now, the courses that you take in college are not always electives, and sometimes that can feel a little bit stale or a little bit different from what you feel your stakes are. But I encourage you to find a way to connect, even to the courses that you're required to take, right? Is there something that you can get from the course personally? Ask yourself this question at the beginning of every course that you take and find a way to connect in a personal way and identify those personal stakes. Now, this is a big personal preference of mine and certainly one that not every student can meet, which I completely understand. But for me personally, I am a sucker for a bold student. And let me explain to you what I mean by bold in the context of academic writing. So what I mean by bold is I like a student who is a risk taker when it comes to critical thinking. I like a student who is unafraid to inquire and to explore ideas that are of interest to her. So if you are that kind of student, I want you to explore that adventurous, intellectual side in my class. However, I don't expect all students to be able to embrace their boldness or to even have that kind of boldness. That's okay. Plenty of students have been successful in my courses by being meek or by being reserved. However, intellectually. However, if you have it in you to really push boundaries and to really strive toward new and interesting understandings of concepts, I welcome that and I really like it. I like a risk-taking student. So if you're on the fence about risk-taking, I'd like to push you over the edge. If you are already a risk-taker, welcome. And if you're not so comfortable with risk-taking, that's okay too. Another expectation that I have for students taking my courses online is commitment. Now, the commitment required for an online course is something that not every student is aware of. The commitment for learning, even for one class, is many hours a week, usually between 3 to 6 hours every week just for one class that you're enrolled in. Many students don't know this, so they can be quite surprised when they get into a course and they see how much time or how much work is required of them. One thing that I expect from students is to understand the requirements for a commitment to learning and what that looks like. Now, if you're new to college, it might take a little bit of time for you to really get the hang of it and see what that rhythm is like of higher educational learning. However, once you do understand that commitment, commit to it. Right? I like students that understand that commitment and are willing to take that responsibility of putting in the time and effort that's required to be successful in a course. And my final expectation for students taking courses with me is engagement. Please don't be a passive student, right? Take a role in the education that you've decided to garner. It's really important that you are an active participant. Now, what active participation looks like will be different for every student, but find a way to engage, find a way to be present, right? So that you can really receive the education that's happening around you and within you. So just be present for those moments. Make sure you're putting aside the adequate time and the adequate brain and emotional energy to do that work. Now I've told you about my expectations, my top list of qualities that I love to see in students, but I'd really like to know about your expectations for your professors in your college courses. What expectations do you have? It can be really useful to identify what these are, especially at the beginning of a course when you're just sort of associating with the whole learning environment and with the professor and with the syllabus and all of the expectations. It's always good to check in and ask yourself, what are my expectations? What are the things I hope to see? What are the things that I feel I need? And if you can express those to me or your instructor, that's also really helpful. I want you to know that I'm open to hearing from you. Shoot me an email and let me know your expectations for professors teaching courses.